In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we talk with Paul Croker about how bringing in the VCIO as a service can help you grow and scale your MSP. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Today we have Paul Croker with us, who is a VCIO. He is going to help us to understand how we can use this strategy to not only add more value to your existing clients, but to make them more sticky and to get you some more project work, which is very interesting. So welcome to the show, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, Ian. Not too bad. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
No problem at all. More than a pleasure. Now, do you want to just explain quickly what it is you do, who you help, and just a little bit of a backstory just about yourself and how we got to talking today?
Sure. So my name is Paul Croker. I'm the founder of a company called 18IT. We are focused on being a virtual CIO. So that's a Chief Information Officer inside an organization. And the reason we call it a V, because it's virtual, is it's not a full-time role or full-time cost for that client or that business. It's as a service, so subscription-based. And the idea is we align to the company's business plan to deliver good IT for that business based on their unique needs. So we're not driven by the technology stack, we're driven by requirements. So I've worked, my last corporate role was working for a pan-European space company, holding up the IT division for the UK. We had 2 sites, one in Bristol, one just outside of Oxford. And part of my remit there was to manage multiple reporting lines within the business, coming in from senior management, from project managers and tasks. We had BAU work coming in. We had new users coming in. It was quite hectic, quite busy. So we had to look at requirements and process around that and manage that and get that up and running and sort it out. And also make sure that the technology stack we had was fit for purpose, validated, within budget, and delivering what we needed it to, really. My role now is slightly changed. So I'm taking that kind of viewpoint of what I did when I worked for the pan-European space company. I'm applying that now to smaller companies because they need the strategy, they need the coordination and making sure that all their IT joins up and it just works for them and it enables them to deliver their business plan. So that's kind of what we're doing at the moment, Ian.
That's brilliant stuff. And the reason we're talking today, there will be a point in the show later on where there will be an absolute golden, shameless plug for you, Paul. Absolutely no problem at all. But the purpose of this episode is to explain really and share with the MSP community the hidden potential, the hidden gem around this particular strategy of using the VCIO services. So before we get too stuck into it, can you just explain, probably for me more than anyone else in fairness, the difference between the VCIO role and a typical CTO role?
Sure. For me, the CTO role looks outwards into the big world, the greater being, whereas the CIO actually looks inside the business to understand what does good IT look like for us, process, compliance, procedures, contract obligations, technology stack, the tools, the hardware, all that good stuff, but inside the business.
Excellent stuff. And, talking about one of the big things about this is that this is a great opportunity for MSPs to either become experienced, potentially, find themselves an outsourced VCIO. But we want to just share why this is such a great strategy, really, to help you secure more work and to help you grow your business. Let's just talk about what you see as the old sales funnel, and then how we can use this strategy potentially in the new funnel. So, back in the day, in the MSP days, the standard funnel would be creating, normally coming from a referral, going in, selling subscriptions, going in, doing a few bit of project work, upselling subscriptions, something new comes along, then we sell them that as well. How does that old funnel compare with the way that you're working right now with some of your clients and MSPs?
Well, Ian, you're right. That's how they used to work. And there are obviously MSPs that work that way today. And if that works for them, that's obviously really good. But what I'm trying to offer here is a slightly different way. The world's changed. How we do business has changed. My God, we've just been through a pandemic. It's been painful for lots of people for various different reasons, including IT people trying to get hold of laptops, right? So it's what we want to do is try and have a different approach to it. So rather than it being driven from the technology point, which sometimes we're talking tech to non-tech people. So you can probably imagine that's not going to probably be a conversation that's going to go too well, or it's going to be bloody hard work. So why don't we pivot that and come at it from the business angle to say, right, let's have a discussion around what's important to you. We can then shape things up with that client and then put together a structure for actually delivering that project, engaging with IT to say, right, what is it you need to support this new, for example, CRM system that's coming in? What do you need? How's that look? So you can bring that into your stack, into the fold, and support it as needed when the go live date is, as opposed to it dropping in at the 12th hour and there's being conflict of interest. It's not quite well supported. No one really knows who's doing what, when it's happening, etc.
And that's a really good point. I mean, we touched on it just ever so slightly there about, don't go in there having business technical conversations because you're not selling to technical people and understanding that. So one of my favorite rants is around not selling the tech, sell the business outcomes. And, you've kind of echoed that as well. And this is where, to really take the MSP to the next level, it's about really understanding your client better, understanding what they need better. And with this particular service, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts and what it actually means in a minute. But the one thing that I've heard a lot of over the last 2 years is it doesn't matter whether you want to be or not, but to a lot of your clients, you are their technical expert, whether it's printers, phones, Wi-Fi, computers, software, anything that plugs in and runs on the internet. You're the first port of call. So you are the tech expert, whether you like it or not. So let's just talk a minute just about, you always do what you've always done. You'll always get what you've always got. So if we bolt this VCIO strategy on and we have a bigger team around us and, I don't want people to start getting scared about, oh my God, we're going to build a bigger team. They're going to go and steal my work and everything like this. But this is around collaboration, isn't it? This is around building a team of experts. And I always say this about cybersecurity as well, particularly when MSPs talk about cybersecurity, because it's like, oh yeah, we do their cyber. And now, I've got a client who's a cyber expert and cyber and data expert. And the conversations we have are just scary about the stuff that he knows. And he focuses on that all the time. So I'll be interested to get your view on how an MSP can build this as a business, a team around it, work collaboratively. How do you see these kind of jigsaw pieces connecting, Paul?
I think it's a great point there, Ian. Absolutely. I mean, IT, as we all know, is as deep as it is wide. There's so many different verticals in there, and it can get really quite deep quite quickly. Lord knows I've disappeared down a few rabbit holes in my time. I'm sure you probably have as well. It's basically it's keeping us focused on what we want to be doing and what really drives us, what makes us interested in the work that we're doing. And we can engage with MSPs. We can put in place agreements, we can sign non-disclosure agreements, etc. So we can put their minds at ease to say, look, it's not about taking the clients. We're not interested in doing the IT support part. We just want to focus on doing that strategy piece with them to understand and unearth those gems to help improve that relationship between the MSP and the client. Yes, you could do that in-house yourself, but is that the best use of your time? It's like what we often say about, I'm not an accountant. Why would I want to get involved in my accounts of my business or the HR elements of my business? I want to offset that to my accountant and say, look, anything you need from me, let me know and I'll get that information to you. It's the same sort of principle, but we're doing it for IT.
Excellent. And, what do they used to say? A team is together, we achieve more. And that's, whether it's technical or whether it's, sales or marketing, anything, it's still a very, very true acronym that I believe in. So let's talk about how do we get more chargeable work, using this strategy. How does it kind of work? How do you work with other MSPs? What do they either need to know, or what can you tell them that they don't need to know that they should know?
Again, it builds on that collaborative approach. So it's working together as a team. And when you join up and join forces, you can achieve great things. People often talk about their superpowers and stuff. And this is where I think we can really tap into that next level, because what we're able to do is engage with the business, sit really close to the decision makers in that business, and talk business with them. The MSPs might not be interested in doing that because you want to focus on the tech, or you're busy sorting the issues out, or wanting to sort of hands on the tools and the rest of it, which is great. That's fine. There's a role for that. But what we can do is we can listen out for the sounds of change, with that client, and say, actually, you might be thinking, oh, we need to sell them a CRM system. But actually, what they're more interested in is in refreshing their hardware, because they've had a couple of issues. People are talking to them in the office, and they're saying, actually, we're getting these glitches. How old are the devices now? We're looking for a refresh, or we're looking at printers, or we're looking at changing office. So what's that look like for our IT? We want to change the physical building, and we're looking to move in a couple of weeks, right? We can do that it's no problem, right?
So how's this different than an MSP, just going out and talking to a client and doing kind of a business review? Is it deeper than that? Or because, what I'm hearing at the moment is that a client comes along, they know they need a bit of IT, or we've been talking to them or educating them through our amazing content we've been putting out on LinkedIn. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a referral. And can't an MSP just do this type of thing?
Yes, they can. We've all got different characteristics. Some of us are going to be more in tune with going out and having those business relationship conversations, and it also depends how often you're having those touch points with those clients. But again, on that, is that the best use of your time? Maybe they're inside your business, you've got things set up in a particular way that actually you can't give that time that is needed for that, or you need to morph into two of you. So you need more people at that level to be able to capture that good stuff, to drive through projects or manage the relationship with the client, all that stuff, really. I mean, with the reviews as well, I guess the timing's of the essence, right? So the review will be at whatever time that might be, whether it's monthly, every 3 months, 2 months, whatever. And then we're reliant on the timing being perfect at that one meeting, because the client's going to come to it with preset information or thoughts or what he's doing next or she's doing next. And the same with the MSP as well. And it's making sure they align at that moment in time, which might not be the right time.
And I suppose as well, if we break this out into two type of tracks, really, how could an MSP use, a VCIO to help them win a new lead? And then let's talk about, what we could do for our existing clients. So, I guess some of the ways to get the new lead would be that if you're just going out there looking to provide MSP services, and a bit of project work comes up that's going to need a little bit more technical and strategic thinking, that's where the VCIO would come in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can then look and really map that out. What does that look like for the business? How much time are you going to need to invest in that? And who inside your team is doing that? Have you got capacity to deliver that? Have the staff got the capacity? And, managing expectations for the client. The client wants it done yesterday. It's like, it's going to take time. It's not a 5-minute job. And I can explain to them why it's not a 5-minute job and what we need to do to find that out to deliver it.
So could we use this then? Could we use this strategy as a supplement, in addition to the team that could take on project work? So if you're an MSP and you're having a good bit of growth right now, and you've got loads of project work coming up, and project work can absolutely stifle and not kill a business, but it can take a lot of time, big time stealers, can't it be? Could you use the VCIO to help manage that project and to deliver part of that project? Is that what this is for, or is it more of a strategic planning point of view that the MSP would then go and deliver the plan?
It's a combination. So I see the project management is one silo of the sort of tasks or responsibilities that a CIO can deliver. There's multiple parts to that around sort of budgets, around compliance, certification, and the rest. And as we know, cyber is so key at the moment. So we could go into a business, they might have a need where they're tabling at board level or senior management in that business. How do we manage our risk around compliance, around cyber? We want to go for cyber insurance. Okay, that's great. But do they technically understand the documentation supporting that or linked with that? And on the back of that, there's going to be project work, which will be to make their system squared away, because for all best intentions, I'm sure there's going to be a couple of gaps or holes where things don't quite line up and they need to make improvements. So that's how we can add additional revenue into the MSP to say, look, this client of yours, they've got reasonable IT, but we need to move them up to that next level now, making sure like all their cloud accounts have got MFA on it. Do they know what all their cloud accounts are? Do they have a risk register in place at the moment? Are they highlighting potential areas of concern? So we can take that spotlight and really sort of shine it underneath the bonnet into those dark, hard to reach places. And this just comes from me drawing on my experience and knowledge from my days working for the Pan-European Space Company, because that's what we were doing. We were having those in-depth conversations, not just at projects, but it goes down the next layer down as well, around compliance and around that, as you alluded to, that sort of strategy planning piece.
As far as the client's concerned, do they see two people here, or does it all get fronted under the MSP, or do you come in like as a third party and act as like an independent type of person? How does that relationship work?
And that's the beauty of what we're doing here is I can shape this or we can shape this however you need to. So if the MSP says, actually, I want you to be part of the team, then yes, absolutely. It can be white enveloped as a service and delivered under the guise of the MSP. Or if they say, actually, we want you just to engage with them directly and be separate, that's fine. It could be a separate task that's seen as a separate entity. And we could be paired as trusted partners, for example. Again, pulling on that collaborative approach.
So the MSP could use this if one of their clients is just not bloody well listening to the risk, to their security, to their compliance and all of those sorts of things. They could quite easily say, look, Paul, could you just come in and tell these guys why they've got to do what they've got to do? This is why this is how they got there. So we could use that then as a lever to, like, tell you what I'll do. I'm going to bring in an expert who's going to talk to you about this sort of stuff. I'm going to step back for a couple of weeks. He's going to come in and then he's going to tell you what to do. I guess that could be a quite a good little a way to work it as well.
Absolutely. So if you're hitting blocking points, or people aren't listening to the advice or the guidelines or the guidance that you're giving, or you're finding it's being rebuffed, absolutely, we can come in and we can analyze what's being said on both sides and basically kind of act as a mediator, if you will. And get that moving and understand actually what needs to happen here.
Excellent stuff.
And then everyone can win on that, because there'll be plus points to the client because they're getting the service and the protection that they wanted, and the MSP is getting the additional work delivered to them as well.
And then how do you manage that conversation, or you're coming in as an expert, right? So I've got an existing client. They already I won't think I'm an expert, but they won't think I'm the technical expert. I am the MSP. How do you frame it so that you don't come in and then like undermine the MSP and make them seem like that they don't know what they're doing and you're working with that team? How does that pan out?
So to start with, I operate a listening policy. So we go into places to listen to start with, to find out about what's there. And it's a bit of a fact-finding mission. You can't start saying, oh, you need to change this and you need to make that changes if you don't understand the business or know what they're doing.
Brilliant.
So for me, it's a case of listening, watching, observing, collecting information, pull it all together, then talk to the MSP saying, right, from my investigation, I found this. Where's your head at with this? What are you thinking? Where are you shaping it? And then we can see where it lines up and where the gaps are, and that's where we can then leverage that and align it all up.
That's brilliant. I love that. And the thing that's really nice about this is that when we go back to the vision and what we're trying to achieve with the MSP, it's about monthly recurring revenue, right? It's so that you can go and drive your fast cars, your boats, go on holiday, whatever it is. And I think we can sometimes get too fixated in fixing problems, fixing the technical side of things. And, when you've got some of the larger clients who are going to want more love and care and attention, and they will pay a bigger fee, which will mean that you could then outsource, the IT strategy part of it. That's then going to help you to work on your MSP tasks. And as you kind of mentioned when we had a chat before, it's all about the sweet spots, isn't it? And about understanding which bits, getting into flow, which are the bits that you can do really quickly. Is it setting up their automation? Is it setting up their monitoring, whatever it might be? Whereas someone else like yourself could do a report on the strategy and the roadmap and what that's going to look like kind of moving forward. So always an interesting point there.
Yeah, it's just about being honest, I think, with yourself more than anything. Because if you're brutally honest with yourself, saying, have we got capacity? Are we skilled to do this? Do we understand how we would go about doing that? And are we getting a good return on that in terms of experience with the client? We're not upsetting anybody, upsetting the apple cart. And it's that relationship, and it's moving it in the right direction so everybody can win.
And also thinking about this as well, this is actually a great opportunity for you to get into bigger clients, isn't it? Because, there must be many MSPs listening to this right now going, oh, I couldn't do that. My client wouldn't pay for that. Oh, no, that's too expensive. Oh, no, this wouldn't work. I'm surely not, that. Well, okay. Well, depends which pond you're fishing in. If you want to fish in a pond with 1 million pounds and everybody earning, under 100 grand, that's fine. But this could help build that credibility and that stature that you're going to get to then go and land a larger client, couldn't it?
Absolutely, and it's interesting you saying that, actually, Ian, because if MSPs are saying, "Oh, they couldn't possibly want that or like that," why are you making a decision for your client?
Yeah, talking like that, you'll end up being a business coach.
Well, it's an interesting one because we often hear those blocking points ourselves from MSPs, from the client saying, "I don't need that. Yeah, it sounds nice, but I'm okay. I've got good IT. My systems are okay." And it's like, what are you actually basing that on? It's a finger in the air approach.
Yeah. And, it's a great saying that I always love to go back to is, if you think something's expensive, it's just because you haven't articulated the value of it. And you're trying to sell it. You're potentially then trying to sell it to the wrong person who doesn't need what you do. So, how much do Accenture, TNT, these other massive, great big organizations go and do an IT strategy? Others are available, an awful lot more than you'll ever earn in your lifetime. So the reason they're doing it is because they're getting the value. They're understanding what it is. And I bet every single one of them starts off with strategy as well. Let's talk about culture for the moment. We've got some great alignment with leadership and all of that kind of great things and the right people. Why is culture so important when we're looking at bringing in, additional supporting experts, as it would be?
It's about having the right people in the right place. So inside the MSPs, we'll look to see who we've got in terms of like our traditional first line, second line, third line guys, or our SQL database specialists or whatever it is, because we know that that's the areas that those guys are really interested in. That's what really drives them. And we recognize there's a level of expertise that comes with experience stuff around that. And these people aim to get into those positions because they've had a long and storied career in various areas. And I see it in the same place as the CIO piece, really. It's just about having the right roles for the right people inside your MSP. Yes, you're heading it up, but you might be doing the sales stuff. You might be doing the customer engagements, or you might be actually heading up some of the technical areas because that's what really drives you. So on top of all of that, are you also going to take on board a VCIO piece as well with inside the business?
And I guess this is what we're suggesting you do here is actually just put a mirror up and have a look at the scalability of your business, because I always coin the phrase. I started my MSP with one person saying, "Hey, can you fix my laptop?" Before you know it, 400 laptops later, and about 700 or 800 grand, or even £1 million later, you've got a really flat structure of 25 structure. What's that? Structure of 25 people, and everybody's busy being busy, and everyone's trying to do everything. And scalability of the business is about organising, getting into the silos. Your culture is absolutely a key point here. Getting in your lane, getting in your flow into the things that you do well and your team do well. And I can really see, this adding big value to some of the larger MSPs or some of the, multi-6 and 7-figure MSPs when you've got the confidence to let go a little bit and bring in another expert that's going to then help you, because, as you're going about your work and other CIOs are going about their work, they're also going to pick up leads for the MSPs. I'm guessing it's going to be quite a reciprocal relationship.
Absolutely, because it's just it's that perfect sort of two-way relationship where we're passing information both ways because it's in everyone's interest. There's enough work out there for us all to focus on what really drives us, and this is just another example of that. We see it already, as I've alluded to, with cyber. And then specialisms back in the day used to be email administrators or messaging administrators. You had somebody who specialized in exchange, or somebody who specialized, if you go back even further than that, SBS 2000 or 2003.
Yeah.
So it's the same sort of thing here. We're just saying, let's put the right culture in place now from day one, because trying to reverse engineer it at a later stage is always a little bit more tricky.
Paul, it's been an absolutely brilliant show. Really enjoyed talking to you. Before we go, I just want to rinse your brain even further than we had already. What are some of the things that the MSPs need to be doing and they need to know right now? What golden nuggets can you offer them today in the back of this podcast?
I think number one for me at the moment is security. So looking at each client and finding out what online portals they're using and accounts, and getting them to turn on two-factor authentication for all accounts on their website portals. It's obviously, we know from a technical perspective, there's no cost involved in that in terms of buying licenses or anything like that. But it's so important that these businesses start to understand where their risks are and where they're exposed. So having two-factor authentication turned on their web portals. If there's no option for that, then there's a discussion with the MSPs and the client around this product. Is this really the best fit for us? Or there's other options out there which will include MFA. And again, there's a piece of work for you off the back of that.
And I mean, this was something mentioned. I think I saw this at a presentation once. Is that everybody moans about MFA? Oh God, we've got to go and set that up. And yet, whenever anything goes wrong, they always go, "We've got to. Have you got MFA set up?" Oh no, right, okay. Well, that is the one surefire way of you preventing, or at least hoping to prevent any type of attack. So, nice one, brilliant stuff, Paul. Thanks again for your time today. Absolutely. No holds barred, shameless plug. If anybody's interested in what you're doing in this space, how do they get hold of you, and what's the next steps that they can take?
Perfect, thank you, Ian. It's always great to connect with people and MSPs. So I'm always happy to have a cup of tea, a piece of cake, and a bit of a chat. I like to chat, as Ian can allude to. I've been chatting to him for ages. My email address is paul.croker@1818it.uk. I'm on LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn, I'm talking about doing IT differently with a cup of tea and some rock and roll.
Lovely. Brilliant stuff. Paul, thanks again for this absolutely gut-busting show full of value. And I can't believe we got to the end and you started mentioning cake. I'm getting a bit hungry now. That's brilliant stuff. Look, I look forward to seeing you soon. We are at the Managed Service Summit in September. Come along to that. The link for that is in the show notes. 14th of September in London. And then Stuart and I will be keynoting. And I know that you are appearing in a couple of sessions as well, Paul. So it's going to be great to meet up in person, shake hand, have that cake and that tea that you just mentioned there. I wish you every success in what you guys are up to over there. And I look forward to catching up with you soon. Take care now. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.